Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about the new rules for Star Wars Legion that just dropped in preparation for the Shadow Collective's triumphant release. How many of you out there are super excited for the Shadow Collective and all of the new stuff that is dropping with this wave? It's going to be a very exciting time. We're going to be talking about these new rules. They are posted on Atomic Mass Games website, but we're going to kind of run through the highlights and what you need to know from this latest installment of new rules. So let's go ahead and talk about that. But first, I want to just do a little bit of admin. If you guys are new here to the channel, we are still giving away a Shadow Collective core set in the form of a $70 Amazon gift card. If you want to have a chance to enter to win that, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. If you're already subscribed, you're already halfway there. Also, I invite you to check out the links that are down in the video description below. I'd love to have you join our Discord. We have a painting competition currently for team-based painting schemes that's going on. You can check them out. You can enter if you want. And also we do a lot of giveaways in Discord as well, so I'd love to have you guys join. Links are all in the description below. I'd love to also thank today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle, for their amazing full metal tokens. Check them out, luxuryplaystyle.com. These are absolutely fantastic tokens, double-sided. They are heavy, they are gorgeous, they're going to make you want to play Legion even more. Also, they are available for X-Wing and on various other games, so head over to luxuryplaystyle.com and don't forget to use code Crabbok VIP. You're going to save 15% with that code. Also, orders that use that code that spend $35 or more are going to get a free lightsaber nunchuck token with the Crabbok symbol on there. It's amazing. It's good for marking damage, so head and check them out. You won't regret it. All right, guys, that's it for the admin stuff. Let's go ahead and dive into all of this good stuff. So if you go to atomicmassgames.com/Star Wars Legion documents, or if you click that little thread, the lines in the top right, you're going to find some Legion documentation, and this is where you can find all of the latest Legion rules. And so what we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at two documents. Now, points did not get updated. I think some people were expecting points updates because of the Bounty Hunter pack that's coming out, but the points for those are on the cards, so I guess they didn't necessarily need to do like an errata points thing since they're going to be printed on the cards. But maybe at some point, that's a good thing for them to include the next time they do a points change, because you've got, like some of the Bounty Hunters have had their points changed, and those are actually like overriding the existing cards. You wouldn't be able to like use the old bounty hunters. You'll have to use the new bounty hunters. So that's something to keep in mind as we kind of step into this wave. So I want to start off with the new rules reference guide. This is version 2.0.3, effective June 17th 2022. And so one of the things that, if you're looking at this document, they did kind of start doing some of the new blue text stuff, but the blue text here is not from the most recent update. This was from one of the last times that I think AMG updated it, when they changed some of the stuff about the battle cards and some of there's like some clone changes in here that are in blue and things like that. I don't want to draw your attention to the main body of the rules reference guide. What we're going to do is we're going to skip all the way down to the bottom, because there's basically the new changes are at the bottom. So after page 88 in the rules reference guide, you'll notice that the template that they're using for their pages kind of changes, and we get more of a kind of a beige. We kind of lose like the blue lines on the sides, and that's where like the newest stuff is going to begin. So there's two pages at the very, very end. We're going to focus on the second to last page, because a lot of the stuff on the last page is still like, this is where we got the last wave with like the spider droids and the new tanks and the Wookiee wave. So a lot of that stuff ended up here, like overrun weapons and reinforcements and a lot of that stuff, and of course self-destruct. And so if you're still not caught up on like the latest wave, so definitely this is a good place to check out. But there are new things in here, and so these are going to be like new keywords that you're going to be finding in the Shadow Collective. So Aid has its entry on there, Independent has its entry, Allies of Convenience is also on there, and so is Cash. So I'll just kind of go over them briefly, because you're going to see these on your cards, and most of them are self-explanatory, but there is one important part, and that's with Allies of Convenience. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but I'm going to just gloss over the other ones first. So first we've got Cash. And this is, again, and these are already spelled out kind of on the cards, but that's something that you're going to see for some of your Merc units, that they'll have a token cached on them. And so cache is just during the setup phase with an equipped unit card that has the cache keyword. Place the listed tokens on the card with the cache keyword. The unit may spend those tokens. And on the card, it also specifies even if that particular mini is defeated, which is awfully helpful. It's actually, cache is a pretty nice upgrade too. You've got independent at the start of the activation phase. If a unit with the independent X keyword does not have an order token, that unit gains the listed token. I think an important thing here is that, like, this is kind of clarifying that they have to not have an order at the start of the activation phase. So just because I think there's going to be some people who are like, well, I didn't assign them an order. They got one from HQ uplink. Does that count? I don't know why I'm doing a voice, because I think that's a valid question, but this is just clarifying. Like, no, even if you get an order from some other mechanic, it still will not allow it independent. Independent, you there's no cheating independent. Unless you can cheat it after this triggers. At the start of the activation phase. So you could potentially, if you have everything out there, like separatists can kind of cheat independent pretty well if they get like the full B1 activation, and they get their entire army with orders, and then the only thing left in the order pool are units that happen to have independent. Well, then, of course, that's sort of a way to cheat it. So that's like kind of the only way that you're going to be able to do that. If you've got some way to kind of pull from the pile and either manipulate your pull from the pile or something like that, that's going to work. Or just have like perfect knowledge of what you're pulling from the pile is the only kind of ways around that. So that's good to know. And then they'll gain their listed tokens. And then you also have aid. When a unit with the aid keyword would gain an aim, dodge, or surge token, another friendly unit of the affiliation or type listed at range 1 and in line of sight may gain that token instead. If they do, the unit with the aid keyword gains 1 suppression token. So that's pretty self-explanatory. That you can just forward a token to somebody else at the cost of a suppression. So you want to be kind of careful in how you do that. So, but it spells out aim, dodge, or surge tokens. So it's not just anything. You're not able to kind of forward over other types of tokens. So if somebody puts, an observe token on you, we're like, oh, on second thought, that's going to this guy. You're not going to be able to forward your suppression tokens to somebody else either. So, or of course, standbys cannot do that. But now we're on to the important one here, Allies of Convenience. Allies of Convenience is one that I think I had a lot of questions on, because there's an upgrade that gives Allies of Convenience, but some of the Shadow Collective folks, some of Maul's people, have Allies of Convenience built into them. And so I'm like, okay, so it says that, Allies of Convenience says that it gives you can include an extra, well, I'll just read it to you. Units with the Allies of Convenience keyword may issue orders to friendly mercenary units regardless of affiliation. That's the first part. I don't think there was any question about that, because normally, one of the rules with Mercs, and we're going to talk about the Merc rules, because that's in a second document. We'll talk about those in just a moment. But normally, like if I have pikes in my rebel list, Luke Skywalker as my commander can't just issue orders to pikes, unless, of course, he has the Allies of Convenience keyword added to him through his underworld connections, right? So that's the first part. Of course, a lot of times you probably won't want to do that anyway. You're better off letting them, because most of them have independence. So there we go. Additionally, when building an army, you may include 1 extra mercenary unit in your army, regardless of rank, if there's at least 1 unit with Allies of Convenience keyword. So that was the thing. I was like, oh, so how many of these will stack? Like if I've got 2 people with Allies of Convenience, can I add 2 extra people regardless of rank? Does that go above and beyond the number of, so now can I basically, how many Mandalorians, super commandos can I include? What if I'm running Shadow Collective and I'm putting Allies of Convenience on everybody who can run it? So this last part, this is what really clarifies it at the end of this bullet point for Allies of Convenience. It's going to say if there's at least 1 Allies of Convenience keyword, though you cannot take more units of a particular rank than normally allowed. And so that kind of partially diminishes the value, or at least the value that I thought Allies of Convenience was going to have. But Allies of Convenience also has more illumination when we get into the Battle Force rules and the Mercenary Rules that are going to be in the next document. So basically, what Allies of Convenience gives you right now is it gives you the ability to issue orders to Mercs, which is going to be, I think, probably more important when you're using bounty hunters than if you're using like pikes or Black Sun or otherwise units that happen to have independent. You really don't need to give them orders as often. I think Allies of Convenience is going to be more important for bounty hunters. And if you're not planning on running Shadow Collective units or pikes or Black Sun or anything like that in your standard armies, but you did like running like Boba Fett or Bosk or Cad Bane, then you may find yourself in like a sort of nerf territory where now you have to, if you wanted to be able to issue Boba Fett an order from somebody else, you're going to need Allies of Convenience. Now, you won't necessarily have to do that because you're going to have Boba Fett's command card. So I'm going to keep using Boba Fett in this example. So let's say I'm an Imperial player, still want to run Boba Fett in the Empire. Well, you still can, but he is going to be a Merc, and you're going to be restricted on how many Mercs you can include. We're going to talk about that because that gets spelled out in the next document. But you'll be restricted on how many Mercs you can include. And if you wanted more than that, Allies of Convenience would give you that. But since Boba Fett happens to have his own command cards, he can always issue an order to himself, even without worrying about Allies of Convenience. So, it's not a must include, but it's a might want to consider kind of include, if that makes sense. So it's definitely worth thinking about. And if you want to get into some more experimental builds, it can be fairly interesting. So let's take a look at the Mercenary Rules here. So the Mercenary Rules are on a whole different document that is also available. So if we want to go to the Shadow Collective Battle Force, that's what's going to get us. Let's see, is that this one? Yes. All right. So because the Battle Force document, the Shadow Collective Battle Force document, has all the Mercenary Rules that we've been waiting for also. And some have asked, like, well, why didn't they just include these in the rules reference guide? And I can understand, like, I think there's a good reason to consider including these in the rules reference guide also, but I can understand why they put them here, because this is going to be the document that I believe all future battle forces are going to end up in. And so, for example, you down here you have the Shadow Collectives stuff right here, and as battle forces grow, you're probably going to get more pages and more paragraphs for each individual battle force. So here's this first, this first couple of things are all for Shadow Collective. And the cool thing is there's also skirmish rank requirements for them too. So Shadow Collective has almost a whole page, and it's like maybe 2/3 of a page for just Shadow Collective, and I think every additional battle force will go into here. And so when you're looking up battle forces, you're going to come to this document, and it's I think the fact that we have the Mercenary Rules here taking up just the first page, 2 years from now, and maybe we've got like 10 battle forces or whatever, I'm guessing, I don't know, we're at least getting 4 more or at least 5 more because the Ewoks, so there'll at least be 6, right? That will be coming to this document, and it'll be nice to have the Merc rules also at the very top. Including mercenaries in your army. This is important because they're going to talk about how many you can include. Mercenary units are not loyal to any of the game's 4 factions. However, factions and some battle forces can hire certain mercenary units and field them in their armies. The unit card of a mercenary unit indicates each faction that can include that mercenary unit in an army. So, for example, the Pikes show all 4 factions. Boba Fett shows only the Empire. And things of that sort. There is no additional cost to fielding a mercenary unit in an army, so it doesn't change your points. Mercenary units do not count towards the minimum number of rank required for the army, like the 3 corps, for example. We already know that. But they do count towards the maximum ranks allowed. An army may include only 2 mercenary units of the corps rank and only 1 mercenary unit of each other rank. For example, a standard Galactic Empire army that includes 1 or more Black Sun enforcers must field at least 3 non-mercenary units and cannot field a combined number of core units greater than 6. So So you can have, you can only have like 2 core. So if you wanted to run 6 core for, like, I'm going to say rebels, right? Let's say you wanted 6 rebel troopers and 6 pikes, or I'm sorry, 3 rebel troopers and 3 pikes for a total of 6 core. Well, you wouldn't be able to do that without a copy of Allies of Convenience. So you would need to have an Underworld Connections upgrade on one of your commanders, for example, and then you could get a 3rd in there. That would give you that 1 extra. And I don't really know how many people are going to really want to do that, but at least right now. But I think it's a good option to have in the future. Who knows what will happen now? My when I look at this, though, I think to myself, is like, wait, can rebels now not take 2 AA5s without Allies of Convenience now? Because the AA5 transport, like, is that one a complete, replacement, or is that one an additional way to field it? Because I feel like it's an additional one, because it would be kind of lousy to tell rebel players, hey, by the way, this thing that you bought 2 of, you can't run 2 of them anymore, unless you take Allies of Convenience. That would be that would be sort of a feels bad kind of scenario. Now, a player cannot normally field an army that contains only mercenary units, but some battle forces allow a player to do just that. These battle forces have their own unique requirements and rules. Some mercenary units cannot be used by any faction. These units can only be used when special rules allow them to be included in armies. For example, I wish it would have showed the gray dots. So if you guys have seen, like, the Maul loyalists, and of course we've got symbols here. So the hand symbol is the Maul loyalists. That's the one that we have on Maul and the Mandalorian Super Commandos and Gar Saxon. Then we have the credit symbol, that illicit credit symbol here is rogues. The two vibro axes is raiders, and then of course we have the symbol for the Pike Syndicate and Black Sun, which we've already seen. Those are the affiliations. Every mercenary unit has an affiliation. Their affiliation is where their true loyalty lies. Affiliation represents criminal organizations, syndicates, guilds, gangs, or even a lone bounty hunter looking to look out for themselves. The unit's affiliation is represented by an icon in the upper left corner of their card, where the unit's faction icon would normally be. A unit with an affiliation can only be issued orders by a friendly unit that has the same affiliation. Each affiliation represented by an icon. Represented by an icon? The affiliations found in the Star Wars Legion are as follows. And of course, there's room for more there if we happen to get more. There's always new underground and underworld kind of affiliations kind of showing up, and there's plenty that certainly could fit into this. I feel like the Hutts would be a great option for inclusion into this, and of course, there's no reason to put them out there until they're in game. But I'd love to see that. They already have Hutt symbology in some of the games too. Like if you play Outer Rim, you're already familiar with the Hutt cartels. So that could be a really cool option in here at some point as well. Plus, if with all the Hutt connections in the Book of Boba Fett, I feel like it's almost an inevitable thing that we'll see some kind of Hutt connections in this game. So the very open and very future-proofing document here. But I think the main takeaway from this is that you can have 2 core and 1 of anything else, right? And so right here, so an army may include only 2 mercenary units of the core rank and only 1 mercenary of each other rank. So my only question at this point is really if the AA5 is meant to be a replacement or an additional unit, because is the Rebel AA5 still legal? Because then I couldn't issue orders to it if I'm including it. That'd be weird. All right, but again, we'll find that out. I think if it's meant to be a replacement, that it'll say that in the upgrade card packs, like little rules insert. I think it'll spell that out if that's the case. It wouldn't make sense for them to take away a rebel vehicle and say it's a raider, though, because that, like, you've got you got rebel people in there, so I don't think they'll make it. I don't think that will be a replacement, but we'll see. I've been wrong before. All right, and then so here's the Shadow Collective Battle Force rules. And a lot of this we've already seen, I've talked about already. But Commander and Operative are kind of a combined rank for the rank requirements. You must have at least one commander, but you can have up to 4 commanders and operatives. So basically what that means is you got to have at least one commander, but you could run 4 commanders, or you could run commander and 3 operatives. So, but you can't exceed 4 of that particular rank structure. And of course, 2 to 6 core, which is standard. You can run up to 4 special forces units, so that's very nice. However, you won't be able to add more than 4 with your allies of convenience, because you cannot exceed the defined limits. Support you can have up to 3, and heavy you can have up to 2. So kind of normal stuff, except the +1 for special forces. There's not a whole lot of supports in heavy that are going to be available for the Shadow Collective. You're really looking at AA5s and then those the swoop bikes, which I believe are I don't know if it said specifically their support, but obviously they're going to be support. So you've really just got one option for everything for the bottom 3. You only got one special forces option, one support option, one heavy option. Got a lot of operative options, not too many commander options though. I think Gar Saxon is the only straight up commander, and then of course if you give Maul the Darksaber, then he'll be a commander as well. So you'll kind of have 2. And then really just the 2 core options with the Black Sun. Oh no, you have other commander options. You with the Black Sun Vigo and the Pike Capo. So I guess you do have other commander options, but really only the Black Sun and the Pikes for core. But so I guess there's room for them to add some more. But that's the rank requirements which you can build. And of course, for what is allowed in the Shadow Collective, we have the allowed units over here. So that's going to be the Black Sun Vigo, Gar Saxon, Pike Syndicate Capo, Maul Arrival, Bosk, and Cad Bane. No Boba Fett here, by the way. No Boba Fett, only Bosk and Cad Bane. For core, it's going to be your Black Sun and your Pikes. For special forces, it's going to be the Mandalorians. For support, it's going to be the Swoops. There you go. It is spelled out, right? Right after I said it's not really spelled out anywhere. Yeah, it's literally spelled out right below me. Sometimes I embarrass myself while reading these, but that's okay. And of course, the heavy is the AA5. And then there are unique upgrades that are allowed too. And I didn't really think that this was necessary. Like the Darksaber. Well, obviously it's gonna be the Maul's Darksaber, because you wouldn't be able to take Sabine's Darksaber. Because that one can only go on Sabine, and since Sabine can't go in here, boom. You got the raiding party leader, Rook Cast, Saxon's Galar 90 rifle, Saxon's, basically all of Saxon's stuff, right? And those are things that would just normally go into here anyway. But I think that that's probably good future proofing, because I'm not actually 100% sure if all of the AA5 stuff that exists. And I feel like that's probably why. I'm pulling it up in another window while I'm talking to you guys right now, so I'm just going to drag this video out for a few more minutes. I apologize. But if we wanted to add an AA5 to the Rebels, and we wanted to add like a pilot in there, like Shriv, right, or Wedge Antilles, Shriv does say Rebel only, and Wedge does say Rebel only. Ryder Azadi, Rebel only, right? So, I don't know. And those are for the unique ones. The Reckless Driver is not unique, so you can still take that one. Outer Rim Speed Jockey is Rebel only. Hotshot Pilot is also Rebel only. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything in game that really required this. Like if there was any unique upgrades that you could have fit in here outside of what is listed here. But I think that that's good future proofing anyway. So yeah. And then there is also special rules. So let's talk about the special rules. Above me here, the special rules, it says this battle force must be composed entirely of mercenary units. These units do count towards the minimum number of ranks required, and the army may include any number of mercenaries at each rank. Any number up to the within their normal limits. Right? I feel like that's probably something they should do, because I'm like, well, it says I can do any number of mercenaries at each rank, so I'm running 12 special forces. Somebody is going to do that, because I will think of it in jest, and of course somebody will be for real. Obviously they mean beyond the 2 right? Beyond the 2 core and 1 of any rank. That's why that says that. It also does say the Shadow Collective Battle Force is aligned with the dark side. That's really only a issue for Maul, I believe, and certain other scenarios that we'll reference, like the recent scenario we just did over a mini Stravaganza weekend, or faux mini Stravaganza weekend, was the like you had to pick light side or dark side, and so there'll be a dark side faction. Of course, that means which Maul can take Force Choke, for example, and things like that. And then, of course, for Skirmish, and yeah, it's kind of 1 to 2 commander or operatives. At least one must be a commander. Core, 1 to 4 core. Special forces, up to 3 special forces. Support, up to 2, and only 1 heavy. So, kind of standard. But I'm glad they included the Skirmish ranks, since the rank is a little bit different. So that is also a cool thing. And that also means that for the other battle forces that we're going to get, they should also include Skirmish rank requirements. It's nice to see that Skirmish was not forgotten in this. I know there are a lot of people out there that really enjoy playing Skirmish. I am not one of them, although I definitely see the value in Skirmish. It's just not my cup of tea. I prefer the bigger games, and I really, really want someday to get a big ground game, like the big AT-ATs marching on Rebel base, on Hoth, or the Battle of Crate, or I just want the massive ground battles. That's the dream game for me, So Skirmish goes the opposite direction. I want bigger games, but a lot of people like Skirmish, and I have played Skirmish. I'll still play Skirmish once in a while. It's just not my favorite, but it's good to see. I don't want to see it get forgotten, That's the thing. So that's about it. I talked for a long time about these, but it's cool. It's cool stuff. I like seeing Legion news, and hopefully there will be more as we get new stuff, and once the other battle forces come out, I'm sure this document will grow by at least 3 or 4 more pages. So and so that'll be fun to kind of get a look at any special rules that might show up for them. I don't think the other 4 are going to have too many special rules. But they will have their own rank requirements and the allowed units. And the allowed units are also going to change in, theoretically, because it's the same thing that happens in Marvel Crisis Protocol for their affiliations. The Avengers, the list of characters in Marvel Crisis Protocol that can go in the Avengers has to change every time they release new characters that happen to be in the Avengers. They're not going to tell you every character they plan on making. Although sometimes they'll include an Easter egg. You might end up seeing, when the 501st comes out, they might sneak something oh, there's Ahsoka in here, for example, right? That'd be a really cool thing for them to do, because they've done that stuff like that before. Now, granted, Star Wars is a different license, so maybe they might need to get permission to do that, but that would be a really cool thing. Let me know if you who you think they might sneak in to some of these battle forces if they had permission and if they decided to do that. I also think it'd be kind of cool to see Riken show up in the Echo Base Defenders. As oh yeah, we're doing Riken too. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so you're gonna have all the layout of exactly who can be included. I think it's very reasonable to expect that for Echo Base, you'll be able to include Han Solo also, and Commander Luke Skywalker, but not operative Luke Skywalker, for example. And that might be places where we see unique upgrades allowed actually makes more sense. You might get an early version of Star Wars Rebels where you have Sabine in a battle force before she had the Darksaber, and maybe she's not allowed to take the Darksaber in that battle force, right? Stuff like that. That could be it's good future proofing. So I like the way that the document is kind of laid out. It makes sense, and although it would be also nice to have Mercenary Rules in the rules reference guide in addition to here, I think that could be a good thing too. So that's my feedback. If anybody cares, but all in all, it's all right here, and there'll probably be more as we get more stuff. We got more battle forces coming. We've got new expansions that are going to be coming out. We got some new speeders. We got some new bounty hunters. We got the IG droids. It's and who knows what else. There was also supposed to be another Star Wars stream at Mini Stravaganza. So whenever they do get around to doing the the big hoopla, even though we just had a bunch of hoopla, but there's going to be more hoopla. And are you going to be there to hula hoop the hoopla? All right, I'm getting a little silly. It's time to wrap things up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I will talk to you soon. Make sure you click those links in the description below. Follow me on social media. If you're interested in Patreon, there's links down there, and also Discord. Jump in Discord and chat with us. Love to have you guys. Big thanks to all my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing, and you guys help make this channel possible. So thank you so much. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you, and goodbye there.